Hey everyone, my name is Kevin, and I want to be canceled. No, you heard me right. I want to dedicate years of my life to building up a sizable brand and creative identity in the entertainment industry, and then I want to be canceled. I want to be shunned and ostracized from that community because apparently that's the quickest way for Netflix to give you millions of dollars for your own comedy special. You don't even have to be funny. You just have to talk about how cancel culture has gone too far, and they'll give you a check so fat that it would send your average everyday American into cardiac arrest. But seriously, has anyone noticed this? Stand-up comedy, and specifically Netflix stand-up, has recently taken a turn for the worse, I fear, with comedians now focusing less on actual material and more on just airing their grievances, with the general public becoming wise to their shitty behaviors. Like, it's literally all of them, too. Dave Chappelle, Joe Rogan, Ricky Gervais, I could go on. They all won't shut the up about how comedy isn't allowed anymore. Cause yeah, the main thing I want to hear about when I'm at a comedy show is how hard it is to be a millionaire that tells jokes for a living. Yes, your life must be so hard experiencing the consequences of your own actions. Do tell me more. Cause the thing comedy is missing these days is an out-of-touch, wealthy individual complaining about how their life got kind of annoying for a little bit. It's so relatable and hilarious. This is definitely worth the $200 I paid to be here. And unsurprisingly, the latest among these helpless, defenseless millionaire comedians is none other than Ellen DeGeneres. Now, if you don't know, in 2020, Ellen went through a bit of a cancellation after BuzzFeed released a report that included testimony from over 10 employees of Ellen's that were alleging that the workplace on her show was, to put it mildly, extremely toxic. They said they were fired after taking medical leave or bereavement days to attend family funerals. One employee, who claimed she was fed up with comments about her race, essentially walked off the job. Others said they were also instructed by their direct managers to not speak to DeGeneres if they saw her around the office. Jesus Christ! All of these people chose to remain anonymous, by the way, the article says, out of fear of retaliation from the show and others in the industry, so make of that information what you will. But to summarize, basically several people came forward, whether they were current or former employees of the show, to say that the workplace environment was one based on fear and intimidation, with lots of unfair treatment and abuses of power going on, as well as some pretty serious stuff like discrimination and sexual misconduct. Like, there was also another report released by BuzzFeed that shed light on allegations of sexual misconduct by 3 executive producers at the Ellen DeGeneres show, and to be fair, they don't allege that Ellen herself took part in that, but let me just say, if you're the face of a company and your name is on the building and 3 of your top guys go down for SA, are we saying she had no clue that that was going on? Like, is she completely off the hook for that, or? But anyway, 4 years later, she is now back with another comedy special, her first public appearance since her talk show was canceled as a result of the controversy. At long last, we may finally achieve some closure on the issue of whether or not Ellen DeGeneres is a huge piece of shit. And let me tell you guys, it's not looking good. So that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna react to her new special called For Your Approval and give our thoughts on how she reflects on and addresses this critical moment in her career.
2 minutes.
This is her first appearance on network television. Would you welcome Ellen DeGeneres?
So the special starts off with this melodramatic intro where she's walking through all of the different moments in her career.
I'm gay.
Why did you think it was necessary for you to come out?
Because it's okay.
She may have pulled off one of the greatest comebacks of all time.
And she's sort of bombarded by all of these social media posts and headlines calling her mean and abusive and toxic, and it's also loud and the music swells and it's this huge dramatic moment, and like, I gotta say, it's really f***ing cliche, dude. Like, it's almost what I would expect a parody of a canceled comedian to put as the intro. It insists upon itself. Like, it feels like this intro was AI generated. Actually, hold on a second. Write a dramatic intro to a comedy special where a canceled comedian is making a comeback. The camera pans across a dimly lit, empty stage. Faint murmurs from an unseen crowd begin to rise, but there's tension in the air. The background music swells, a mix of eerie strings and slow booming drums. One by one, harsh headlines fill the screen. Scandals, tweets, tabloid covers, all swirling in a storm of controversy. Suddenly, the screen goes black. Silence. A montage of early career highlights, sold-out shows, standing ovations, talk show appearances, flickers in rapid succession. Cut to clips of the comedian at their lowest, news footage, canceled tour dates, and that one infamous tweet replayed in slow motion.
Ellen DeGeneres finds herself at the center
center of a storm of controversy.
Suddenly, the camera swings around to the back of the theater where the comedian stands in silhouette, arms crossed. As they walk towards the stage, we see flashes of their old performances intercut with their walk. A self-deprecating grin forms on their face. Oh my God, it's the exact same thing. Holy sh*. Also, it is so painfully clear from the way that this is edited that they want you to see Ellen as a victim of cancel culture so bad. Like, it's kind of framed as if she was needlessly attacked and canceled out of nowhere instead of just, like, experiencing the consequences of her actions. So right off the bat, before we even get to the jokes, there is this implicit framing that what happened to her was wrong and unjustified. Which to me, if you're trying to get back into the good graces of the public, you might not want to do that by implying that everyone criticizing you was wrong and a bully. Just a free piece of advice there. Anyway, the intro ends and Ellen walks out on stage and the jokes finally start. And you may be thinking to yourself, if this is her return to comedy, right? If this is her big comeback, how's she gonna start it off? After being one of the most beloved people in America and then having such a huge fall from grace, surely she's got some quality material out of that situation, right? She's probably gonna come out swinging with some witty insight into cancel culture or some playful jabs at her critics. Well, you see, dear viewer, that is where the unfiltered genius that is Ellen DeGeneres comes into play. She doesn't waste time caring about a strong intro or addressing the gigantic elephant in the room that everyone is currently focused on. She only has time for true comedy, the raw, unapologetic material that she has built a career on, which is apparently spending, you not, 6 entire minutes on car-related comedy.
All it takes is trying to parallel park in front of a crowded outdoor cafe. One of the most embarrassing things is driving a car when it's not raining and the windshield wipers are going. And then you're trying to fiddle with it, trying to turn it off, and you don't know how to turn it off. There's so many extraneous things in a car that we don't need. I have never used my parking brake. There are buttons in my car I've never used, never will use. Don't get me started on the dashboard lights, too. If my windshield wiper fluid is low, all the words, windshield wiper fluid low.
I get it!
So yeah, great opener. There's also several moments during this bit where the audience applauds at like the most mid jokes you've ever heard.
And I shouldn't have to guess from an exclamation point between 2 parentheses that my tire pressure is low.
Yes, I have also had those thoughts before. So this car stuff actually turns out to be a prelude to material that is clearly carefully designed to make her appear like more relatable and down to earth. And it's like, Ellen, it's okay. We know you're a multimillionaire. You don't have to change for us. We hate you for you.
I was talking to someone the other day, and they said, Ellen, I don't know how you get on stage in front of people. I could never do that. And I said, well, I don't know how you dry clean clothes. Clean clothes dryly.
God, I don't know if it's just me, but I hate when celebrities that everyone knows are extremely wealthy try and come off as like your average, everyday person. It drives me nuts. Like, hey, why do new cars have all these newfangled, unnecessary features? Nobody wants those. All those things do is make it harder on the people that drive me everywhere. Don't you guys hate it when those fancy pants people tell you they dry clean their clothes? Like, get out of here with that nonsense. My house is worth $100 million.
All right, well, let me catch up on what's been going on with me since you saw me last. I got chickens.
It's funny because she said a different thing than what I expected her to say. I'm not really sure why, but similar to the car thing, she spends an unnecessarily large amount of time on the chickens thing. Like a lot of time.
Chickens are the best bird to have at home, I think. I've always wanted chickens, and now that I have them, they're so cute. I put a swing in there for them. Chicken on a swing, that's ridiculous. They give me an egg every day. They lay an egg every day. They're curious little animals, too. They're very curious. I'm sorry to be just another comedian going on and on about our chickens. A lot of people think that they're flightless birds, and that is not true. The longest recorded chicken flight is 13 seconds. Scientists have discovered that chickens dream. I mean, I am curious, what do they dream about? That's all for chickens.
God, she's being paid so much money for this.
All right, let me see what else I can tell you about that. It's been going on. Oh, yeah, I got kicked out of show business. Yeah, because I'm mean. Yeah. Yeah, you can't be mean and be in show business. No, they'll kick you out. No mean people in show business.
Okay, so Couple things. First of all, this is where we get into the real meat of the special. This is the first time she talks about what every single person in the room is there to see her talk about, and I just want to point out that we are 17 minutes into the special. It took her 17 minutes to get to this point. Also, she is very clearly still so pissed about what happened, to the point where you can literally see it on her face and hear it in her voice. Like, she is seething here, and not really trying to hide it either. Also, the idea that she was canceled simply for being mean is a hilarious revision that she's making to the situation, right? Like, to boil all of the accusations down to just the word mean has got to be understatement of the century material. Like, words mean things when you say them, Ellen.
Yeah, y'all heard I was mean. Everybody heard that I was mean. Everywhere I go, I know everyone's heard that I'm mean. I know when I walk into a restaurant, people are watching, waiting to see if I'll be mean.
So this is what I really don't like about this special, because not only is she playing up the victim card, but she's also playing down the actual harm that her actions caused and the reasons that she was kicked out of show business. Like, you weren't canceled because you were mean, Ellen. You were canceled because of allegations of abuse. Like, you weren't just mean, you ran a toxic work environment where people were scared of you. You created an environment that allegedly fostered things like discrimination and sexual harassment. That's why you were canceled, not because you were mean. And reducing every criticism of you to just people think I was mean just shows that you don't actually think what you did was that bad, and shows that you have little to no actual remorse for anything, and that you don't need to take accountability for any of it.
That was a big story, huh? That had some legs on it. Yeah, the first I heard about it, I came across a headline that said how Ellen DeGeneres became the most hated person in America. Now, I didn't see the other names on the ballot, but I have to... It's a horrible thing to say about somebody, and to make it worse, there was no trophy, no awards banquet, nothing.
Oh my god, I can't stand this dude. I know I said this before, but when did comedy specials just become the place that rich people go to complain about how hard their lives are for an hour? Can somebody explain that to me? When did that happen? I swear to God, every time I sit down to watch a comedy special expecting to laugh, I'm instead fed a 25-minute long diatribe about how hard it is to be famous because people criticize you sometimes. Who literally gives a single you have an ungodly amount of money? First of all, the criticism that you got during your controversy was both 100% self-inflicted and well-deserved. It's not like people were mad at you for no reason. And second, am I really supposed to be moved by the fact that your life got a little bit more annoying for a couple of months 4 years ago? Like, is that really what we're sitting here talking about? Because by the looks of it, you're actually doing pretty well for someone who was kicked out of show business. Like, last time I checked, the mic is literally in your hand. Like, the spotlight is currently on you. I wouldn't exactly call someone who was likely paid 7 or 8 figures to do a show someone who is kicked out of show business. In fact, I would consider that person like the upper echelon of show business. You know, the elite class of it. You are of a status that most people would only dream of attaining.
I was in therapy for a while trying to deal with all the hatred that was coming at me, and you know, it was not a common situation for a therapist to deal with. At one point, my therapist said, Ellen, where do you get this idea that everyone hates you? And I said, well, New York Times, Washington Post, Entertainment Weekly, Us Weekly. I think Elmo may have said something recently on an episode of Sesame Street.
Oh, some people wrote some articles detailing some bad things you did and it hurt your feelings? Well, here's my suggestion, a little life hack that I'll let you have for free, Ellen. Don't do the bad things, and then people won't write articles about how you did them. I hate how she frames what happened as if the hate just came out of nowhere, like as if it wasn't just the consequences of her own actions coming to fruition. That's the thing with these, like, legacy media people. They get so famous and so powerful that they become blind to the way that they treat people. That's why celebrities have sort of a reputation of being, like, the worst people ever, right? Because they can just treat people however they want and not lose anything over it. And they unfortunately just get used to treating other people like garbage. But when that inevitably blows up in their face, like whether it's an employee coming forward or someone in their life making allegations, they act like it was out of nowhere and totally undeserved. And it's like, no, dog, it's you. Like, you are the problem. A bit after this, Ellen starts to reminisce about her time as a talk show host and media executive and reflects on why she thinks maybe she was treated a little bit differently than others.
But men bosses and women bosses are different. Like, a woman boss couldn't say, Jenkins, to my office now. A woman boss would have to use more words. A woman boss would have to say something like, excuse me, Jenkins, I don't want to bother you. If you're not too busy, could you step into my office real quick? I just have to talk to you for a second. Thank you so much.
Here we go. I can hear the bullshit coming from a mile away. Oh, I was canceled because I'm a woman who is simply engaging in the same behavior that men are permitted to engage in every day. What I did was no different than what is commonplace in male-dominated workplaces. You criticize me because of sexism. Jesus Christ, this is gonna be the next 15 minutes, isn't it?
We have all these unwritten rules based on gender of acceptable behavior, of who we're allowed to be and how we're allowed to act. And if we don't follow those rules, it makes people uncomfortable. And when people get uncomfortable, there are consequences.
Yeah, okay, looks like it. All right, fine. You know what? You guys want hot takes? Here's my hot take. You can be a minority and also a piece of shit. There is nothing that says a woman can't also be a giant narcissistic asshole who mistreats their employees. There is nothing that says a gay person who has previously been the victim of discrimination cannot create an environment that leads to discrimination. Your minority status does not absolve you of the fact that you treat other people poorly. I can't believe I have to say this, but these people in her audience clap like seals after Ellen basically just says, well, men get to do it. And it's like, yeah, Ellen, patriarchy is a problem, and there are a lot of outcomes of it that suck. Like, men are too entitled. They do treat people below them like garbage, and they do abuse their power, especially towards women. But the answer to addressing those problems is we should dismantle the systems that lead to that, not we should make it more okay for women to do horrible things too. And that just proves that Ellen is the type of person that doesn't want to solve the problems with society that lead to abuses of power and discrimination. She just wants to not be called out when she does it. Because what she's doing here is essentially using her identity as a woman as a shield to deflect criticism, right? She's basically saying, if I was a man, you wouldn't think twice about my actions because it's normal for men. And look, I'm not even saying she's wrong about this. Men do get special treatment when it comes to their behavior, and they do benefit from patriarchy in that way. But to be honest, the more rich and powerful you get, the less I think the gender distinction actually matters. Once you got 20 years of media executive experience under your belt and basically run a company, your gender doesn't really impact how people perceive you as much as it would if you weren't the face of the enterprise.
For those of you keeping score, this is the second time I've been kicked out of show business. Kicked me out before because I told them I was gay. No gay people in show business. Kick you out. Can't be gay and be in show business. Eventually they're going to kick me out a third time for being old, mean, old, and gay, the triple crown.
So for those of you who don't know what she's referencing here, in 1997, Ellen publicly came out as gay, both in real life and on her sitcom, Ellen.
Susan, I'm gay.
And it's widely known that as a result, due to the culture at the time not being as accepting, both Ellen and the network it was aired on received major backlash, which led to the show's ratings declining and it eventually being canceled by ABC. And this had a pretty big negative impact on Ellen's career, and is why she calls it the first time she was kicked out of show business. Now, obviously, that is really up. It is blatant and overt discrimination, it is bigotry, and it is unfortunate that Ellen was the victim of that, and she has every right to be upset over it. Which is why it's so bizarre to me that she would equate that to her more recent controversy. Because on one hand, you have a situation that is very clearly because of bigotry, right? Through no fault of her own, she was attacked for something she can't change, something that is innate to who she is. She was a victim. And on the other, you have a controversy centered around her own actions, the workplace environment that she fostered, and the discomfort that she made other people feel. And to say that those two events are the same is to grossly understate her own culpability in the situation. To say that those two criticisms are equally as unjustified shows that she doesn't know the difference between being discriminated against and being justifiably criticized. Any criticism that is aimed at her must inherently be unjustified. But it's not like that, Ellen, because you may have been the victim in 1997, an entertainer powerless to stop the powers that be from being cruel. But in 2020, things had changed by then. You're not the victim anymore. You are the cruel powers that be. To equate the experience of discrimination to a show of righteous outrage over things you caused both downplays your role in what happened in 2020 and belittles the struggles that many young gay entertainers are still dealing with to this day. Having been a victim of discrimination does not entitle you to freedom from criticism. Having faced the consequences of bigotry does not mean that that any consequences you face are because of bigotry. And to get up on stage and act as if you were canceled just because of a rumor that you were mean sends a message that you aren't interested in taking accountability for any of what happened and are instead more interested in a revisionist account of what took place, where you're simply an innocent person who got brought down by a simple online rumor. Oh, how hard it is to be a multimillionaire celebrity who receives backlash that they 100% brought upon themselves. Give me a break. I'm not gonna lie, most of the special after this point is kind of just bland, milquetoast, mid-comedy, not really worth your time or consideration. However, I do want to draw your attention to what she says at the end.
I'm happy not being a boss or a brand or a billboard, just a person, just a multifaceted person with different feelings and emotions, and I can be happy and sad and compassionate or frustrated. I have OCD and ADD. I'm honest, I'm generous, I'm sensitive and thoughtful, but I'm tough and I'm impatient and I'm demanding, I'm direct. I'm a strong woman.
Are we really doing a standing ovation for that? Jesus Christ. Dude, this special honestly just turned out to be a masterclass in avoiding accountability for your actions. Like, I am absolutely begging white liberals to stop using the language of feminism to justify your shitty behavior. It's not feminism to act like a total piece of shit around the office just because you're a powerful woman, and it's not feminism to use the patriarchy as a means to deflect from you mistreating your employees. There's a difference between rising above the patriarchy and sinking to its level. There's a difference between effective and uplifting female leadership and female leadership that simply assimilates to male culture. If you're a feminist, if you're an effective leader, if you're a strong woman, prove it. Take accountability. Admit that there's some validity to what was being said about you. Make it right to the people that you affected. Until then, you're not a strong woman. You're just an asshole.
But with time, you gain perspective. With perspective, you realize that caring what people think to a degree is healthy, but not if it affects your mental health. So after a lifetime of caring, I just can't anymore, so I don't.
And yeah, that's basically the end of the special. That's right, in her first public appearance in years, what many are saying is her final farewell to the entertainment industry, in this critical moment in her life and career, she chooses to end on the wise words of, I see you, I hear you, and I don't give a f. This entire special has just felt like the biggest you, like the biggest middle finger to anyone who actually did end up hurt by Ellen and the workplace at her show. This whole time, she has literally said nothing but one, actually what I did isn't that bad, two, you're just criticizing me because I'm a woman and I'm gay, and three, I don't care, you. Did I mention that I'm gay? And it's kind of sad, right? Because I feel like there was a correct way to play this, and this just misses the mark so badly. Like, yes, what she did was not the best, but I genuinely think that if she approached it in more of a way of like, yeah, guys, I totally messed up, and I regret it, and I just hope that it doesn't affect my legacy as someone who did genuinely try and spread kindness and positivity in the world, that would have been so much more effective, and frankly, more impactful too. But instead, what we get is a 70-minute long pity party where she just downplays what happened and acts like a helpless victim of a hate mob. And that's the thing about super famous people, right? They can never see themselves as anything other than victims because they think they're perfect. They think their shit doesn't stink. And so whenever someone brings up criticism to them, and very valid criticism at that, it's framed by them as like an attack. People are attacking me. Oh, people are attacking me just because I'm a strong woman. I didn't do anything to anyone. Anything you hear is a rumor. And if you think I'm wrong, you're probably sexist too. Ironically though, I think if there was any doubt still on the table about whether or not Ellen is actually a shitty person behind closed doors, this special kind of settles the matter once and for all, right? Like, there's not really any room to give her the benefit of the doubt anymore. She pretty much doubled down on everything you would expect a shitty person to double down on. She took no accountability, ignored every valid criticism of her actions, and tried to gain sympathy points by alluding to her difficult past and used progressive language to dissuade her critics. It pretty much hits every mark of what you would expect from someone who is in denial about who they truly are. Ellen seems to truly believe that that she is a kind person, that her work both on screen and off is proof of her generosity and benevolence. Her whole brand is be kind, after all. But honestly, it's always the people who project a message of kindness the most that you have to watch out for, because all of that be kind to others nonsense, all of the overly positive messaging contained in her philanthropic brand identity turned out to just be a cover for shitty behavior, a projection of who she wants to be, who she might consider herself to be, but not who she truly is. And yeah, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of the video. Those are my thoughts on the whole Ellen situation and her new comedy special. Let me know in the comments, did you guys see the special? Did you like it? Did you cringe at it? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And if you like this video, make sure to leave a like on it. And if you want more of my content, hit the subscribe button. It helps out the channel a lot. Thank you in advance. And if you want to support the channel, go check out the Patreon. I upload my videos uncensored and ad-free there, as well as some bonus content that I do that you can only find on the Patreon. So if you want to, go check that out. But other than that, yeah, comedy is dead, and millionaires killed it. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.